Welcome, curious minds, to the deep dive. Today we're plunging into a story that feels less like a news report and more like a puzzle box, meticulously crafted by a master illusionist.
Oh, definitely.
You know how much we love to unpack the work of Professor Alistair Finchley Smythe III? His unique creations consistently stir up the intellectual landscape and, well, this past month, his latest hasn't just generated buzz.
No, buzz is an understatement.
It sparked a truly bewildering, reality-bending saga that has captivated us and, frankly, left us questioning, well, quite a bit. We're talking about the Conflargarrulous Labyrinth. It's a new interactive experience that launched with this just audacious bang, right?
Right out of the gate, yeah.
Then it quickly spiraled into public controversy and then almost as suddenly seemed to vanish from the headlines. But here's where it gets really interesting for us and for you, our dedicated listener.
Yeah, this is the hook.
The professor's work often blurs the lines between art, game, reality. And in this particular case, those lines blurred so profoundly, they bled right into our conversation, into the very fabric of this deep dive we're having right now.
Indeed. Our mission today is to meticulously explore this month-long event. We'll be drawing from the professor's initial press releases, which are something else,
Oh, yeah.
an incredibly insightful, if somewhat unsettling review, and then the subsequent news reports that tracked its tumultuous public life.
Right.
But more importantly, we need to grapple with the truly unique nature of this phenomenon, especially its direct, almost existential connection to this very discussion.
Exactly, that connection.
Because as one early, almost prophetic communication from AFS3 Media stated directly to us, and I quote this because it's crucial, this game cannot work without you, as in essence, you are the game.
Chilling, isn't it?
It really is. That's a concept that demands a deep dive in itself, and we'll need to unpack it thoroughly as we navigate these fascinating and at times pretty unnerving sources.
And for those of you who might be new to the delightful madness of Professor Finchley Smythe III, let us give him a proper introduction, because you sort of need to know who we're dealing with here.
You really do. Context is everything.
We're speaking, of course, of Professor Alistair Finchley Smythe III, Ph.D., who holds one of the most wonderfully verbose titles in academia. Get ready for this.
Brace yourself.
Regius Professor Emeritus of Interdisciplinary Ontological Research of Epistemological Relationality, of Historiography and Trivial Trivia, at the Reformed Regal Collegium of Esoterical Eccentricities, at the New London Consortium of Esteemed Suits.
Here, he earns that title every time.
Now, I know that's a mouthful, but it's deliberately so, right? It tells you something. Essentially, he's a brilliant, if eccentric, academic who studies how we understand reality across every field imaginable.
Pretty much, from how we know things, that's the epistemology part, to what it means for something to exist, the ontology.
Right, and how things are connected even down to the silliest, most trivial details, hence the trivial trivia.
Exactly. And while some critics might dismiss his academic work as, to quote, a common, rather blunt critique, absurd and wordy blather.
Which, let's be honest, sometimes it sounds like that on the surface.
It can sound like that, but it is, in fact, a profound intellectual exploration of intricate connections across phenomenological epistemology.
Which is how our experiences shape knowledge.
Basically, yes. How conscious experience forms what we know. Then, ontological relationality.
How everything's connected.
Right, how connections define what something is in history, science, philosophy, and something he calls liminal dialectic.
Okay, liminal dialectic. That sounds like classic Finchley Smythe. What's the gist?
It's his unique way of looking at how seemingly opposite forces like chaos and order or illusion and reality don't just conflict. They actually inform each other, creating new, often in-between or liminal states of understanding.
Right, so he's basically fascinated by how our minds perceive and construct reality and how everything is interlinked, often in contradictory ways that somehow create a deeper truth.
You've got it. And he's also the CEO of the Alistair Finchley Smythe III Media Group, or AFS3 Media.
Which is the entity that brought us the Conflargarrulous Labyrinth.
Precisely.
Knowing this background, you can immediately start to appreciate the deep philosophical layers and, frankly, the mind-bending complexity he bakes into everything he touches, whether it's an academic paper, a public address, or,
as we're about to see, a video game. He doesn't just make art. He makes experiences designed to fundamentally challenge your perception of existence itself.
Okay, with that foundation firmly laid or perhaps thoroughly destabilized, which might be more appropriate.
More accurate, yeah.
Let's turn our attention to the professor's audacious announcement. Our journey into the Conflargarrulous Labyrinth begins with the initial press release from AFS3 Media, issued for immediate release on day one.
And right away, the language.
Oh, the language.
Yeah.
This wasn't just announcing a new video game. It described it as nothing less than an inaugural interactive exegesis.
An exegesis, yeah. A deep, critical interpretation.
So an interactive exegesis means you're actively participating in interpreting a profound experience, not just consuming it.
And it gets better, an ontological event horizon of omnibulimorous illusions.
Okay, break that down. Ontological event horizon. Sounds like the point of no return for reality.
Kind of. It suggests a point where your very sense of what's real, your ontology, starts to fundamentally shift and blur.
And omnibulimorous illusions. Just deliberately confusing.
Obscure, yeah. Deliberately confusing or obscure illusions orchestrating this reality shift. What's fascinating here is how AFS3 Media immediately positions this outside the conventional understanding of a game.
Right. It's explicitly declared to antedate its own realm.
Yeah.
Like it existed before it was made.
Exactly, like a pre-existing concept manifesting as an inexorable elliptical extension of his established hypothetical eccentricities.
So unavoidable, circular, built on his weird ideas.
Basically, yes. It's an unavoidable, almost circular continuation of his academic concepts.
So it's not just entertainment. It's a philosophical statement, a direct challenge to how we categorize and experience interactive media right from the get-go.
Absolutely. He's telling us it's something fundamentally different before we even glimpse it.
And the press release doesn't shy away from critiquing the status quo, does it? It really goes after traditional games.
It really does. It laments how the digital medium of games has languished, its capricious visage shackled by the banality of monotonous narratives and the reductive constraints of perfunctory, objective-oriented logisticism.
Okay, translating professor speak. Games are boring and predictable.
That's the core of it, yeah. Held back by monotonous narratives, dull stories, and reductive constraints of perfunctory, objective-oriented logisticisms.
Meaning, too focused on simple tasks and goals, like fetch quests.
Exactly. Too focused on simple, repetitive tasks and straightforward goals. This raises an important question for us. If we consider the bigger picture, it suggests Finchley Smythe isn't just building a game.
He's tearing down the idea of what a game is.
He's deconstructing the very idea of digital interaction as we know it, offering a completely different paradigm.
What does that mean for our relationship with technology, then? If a game refuses to play by the rules we expect?
It challenges us, doesn't it? It makes us reconsider if we become too passive in consuming digital experiences. Can games be more than just simple entertainment or escapism?
He seems to think so. He described his creation as a virtual reality that is fundamentally hugger-mugger.
Hugger-mugger, meaning secret and confused.
A beautiful, chaotic farrago of competing logics, festooned with irrelevant curios.
A farrago is a confused mixture, so a deliberately confusing VR, a beautiful, chaotic jumble of conflicting ideas, decorated with seemingly random, unimportant items.
Like the inventory we'll get to later.
Exactly, and it's an architectural conversance designed to juxtapose a diametric sublimation of contrasting concords.
Okay, English, please.
In simpler terms, it's an experience crafted not for typical gaming goals, but to provoke thought, maybe even beautiful bewilderment, by putting diametrically opposed concepts side by side, letting them merge into something new. Finding unity in contradiction, that's his liminal dialectic at play.
Okay, and the description of how you'd even play this thing is equally unique. The release says, the performatic redundancy of anticipated cause and effect progression is not a fundamental facet.
Which is a very elaborate way of saying, don't expect things to make logical sense. A leads to B, not necessarily here.
Right. Instead, players must command a series of semantical actions by circuitously engaging in a logomachy of lexiconic eccentricities.
A logomachy is a battle of words.
So you fight with words, or use language in weird ways.
Pretty much. The journey isn't about traditional problem solving. It's about navigating a linguistic realm of superfluous narratives, a world driven by language itself. Words create the reality.
Less pressing buttons, more wrestling with meaning.
Exactly. Wrestling with meaning and language itself, using words as tools and obstacles. Given his background, this makes perfect sense. It prepares you for a challenge not of reflexes, but of intellect and interpretation. The act of understanding is the game.
And even the release date was weird, wasn't it? Shrouded in mystery.
Completely. Described only as a proepigram of contingent methodologies.
Which means?
A kind of introductory statement based on methods that depend on other things. It's vague, and also entirely anticipated and utterly without precedent.
So we expected it, but it's totally new.
Classic contradiction.
It feels like the game itself was already playing with our expectations before it even materialized. He's basically saying, we planned this, but it's also totally new and you won't see it coming.
That pervasive sense of the unknown, of shifting reality. It's definitely his style.
It's a hallmark, yeah. The invitation to prepare your minds for a challenge that is both completely illogical and perfectly coherent.
How can it be both?
That's the point. And to begin the great work of getting lost, it directly challenges you, the listener, anyone encountering this, to abandon conventional expectations.
Don't try to win. Just explore the confusion.
It's an open invitation to intellectual surrender and exploration rather than mastery, a game where disorientation is the point, designed to make you question the very notion of a clear path.
Now, if all of that sounds abstract, prepare for something much more concrete and a bit unnerving for us personally.
Yes, this part was unexpected.
Just a week after that press release, something truly peculiar landed directly in our inbox here at Deep Dive Productions. An email from AFS3 Media.
And addressed specifically TO Deep Dive Productions and the podcast hosts of the Deep Dive, not some generic press address.
To us.
Yeah. This communication was a stark reminder, or maybe a declaration, of our integration with the Conflargarrulous Labyrinth, stating our involvement was required for it to be manifested as planned.
Required, like necessary for the game to even work as intended. And then came the line that really made us sit up. The one that directly influences how we even approach this deep dive, and certainly what we're saying right now.
And remember, this game cannot work without you, as in essence, you are the game.
We are the game.
It was a direct instruction, a profound statement that shifted our role from observers to, well, active, if unwitting, participants.
So from the outset, we were told we were part of this. What does that mean for you, our listener, as we try to objectively unpack something we're apparently integrated with, something that relies on our participation for its manifestation?
It suggests our role isn't just reporting, analyzing from a distance, but somehow actively participating in its very creation, its manifestation in the public consciousness, just by discussing it.
It's incredibly meta. It forces us to question our own agency in this whole thing.
And this is where his ontological relationality really hits home, isn't it? Blurring the line between commentator and participant, observer and observed.
It invites us, and by extension you, listening right now, to consider the possibility that our very discussion is part of its intricate design.
An intellectual exploration of how our thoughts and conversations can shape, even manifest, a reality. Even one as abstract as this labyrinth.
It's a profound question. Are we merely reporting on a story, or are we, in some strange way, helping to write it? Or maybe being written by it?
Deep thoughts. Let's move into the game itself.
Right. After that rather abstract and self-referential setup, the first real, tangible glimpse into this mind-bending world came from a critical review.
From Fate 808.
Yeah, titled The Conflargarrulous Labyrinth. A dyspepsis circuitous adventure, penned by the always insightful and sometimes irreverent Freaky Clink.
She's great. Very sharp.
She called it the most brain-meltingly meta video game I've ever played, and a linguistic fever dream. Sounds about right, doesn't it?
Absolutely captures the essence. This initial impression from an actual player immediately confirms the professor's aims from the press release.
How so?
Well, she immediately sets the stage by describing you, the player, as a fresh-faced academic wandering around inside the digital brain of Professor Alistair Finchley Smythe III.
Literally inside his brain.
Metaphorically, yes. But the premise itself is a powerful metaphor for his academic pursuits. Playing becomes an exploration of a brilliant, chaotic mind, a literal journey into his phenomenological epistemology and ontological relationality.
It's not just the game world, it's a digital representation of his consciousness. Wow.
Exactly.
So, what was actually in this digital brain, gameplay-wise? Forget swords and potions, right?
Oh, completely. Freaky's inventory was filled with items like lobsters, toys, flabberfish, junk food, teddy bears, funny hats, puppets, clowns, mimes, robots, slime.
Okay.
Ventriloquist dummies, monkeys, earthworms, sporks, rats, and chickens.
A spork. It's a total farrago, like the press release said. Bizarre and mundane mixed together.
What's fascinating is the sheer incongruity. It directly reflects those irrelevant curios mentioned earlier. This isn't about logical utility.
No kidding. What do you do with an earthworm and a teddy bear?
Exactly. It's about setting the stage for a different kind of interaction, where conventional logic is absent. It forces players to abandon preconceptions about how game inventories should work. A deliberate destabilization of norms.
An immediate challenge to your assumptions about cause and effect.
Precisely.
And the first core puzzle mechanic, the quintessential juxtaposition, really leaned into that absurdity, didn't it?
Oh, yeah. It demanded doing what does not make sense.
No.
Freaky described having to smash two completely random items together to open a new path. She specifically mentions combining an old-looking lobster with a funny hat.
A lobster with a funny hat. And that worked.
Apparently, it opened a shimmering pathway. It sounds utterly ridiculous, utterly illogical, yet somehow it was the key.
So is this just absurd for absurdity's sake? Or is there a point?
That's the question, isn't it? Is it simply absurd, or is it a deliberate challenge to our ingrained cognitive biases, our reliance on linear problem solving?
By making the illogical the key to progress.
He forces players to embrace a nonlinear, maybe even ontological way of thinking, where new realities are literally created through unexpected connections.
Freaky herself said, upon success, you feel like a genius, or maybe you've just broken the game.
That ambiguity is central. It makes you question your own understanding of success and failure within his constructed reality, pushing you into that liminal space between understanding and confusion.
Okay, so puzzles are weird. What about combat? New swords, you said.
Nope. Forget fists or fireballs. Combat isn't physical, it's linguistic. Freaky called it intricate linguistic acrobatics, referred to as vocabulations.
Vocabulations, like vocabulary attacks.
Essentially, yes. She mentioned throwing a conma quirk, whatever that is, to stun foes with the sheer power of wordiness.
The conma quirk. You'd need a dictionary, or maybe one the professor wrote himself.
Huh. Probably. This is a direct manifestation of that logomachy of lexiconic eccentricities from the press release. It literally turns language into power.
Engaging with phenomenological epistemology by making speaking a force that alters reality in the game.
Exactly. It truly is, as Freaky observed, a convoluted spelling bee with no clear rules. Mastery of arcane terminology is your weapon. It forces players to actively engage with semantics. Words aren't just descriptions, they're active agents of change.
Right, this is getting weirder. The game also featured a disembodied AI voice, right? The Navigator.
Yes, available via a paid subscription, interestingly enough.
So you pay for help. In a game this confusing, you'd expect it to be, well, helpful, guide you through the labyrinth.
You would expect that. But what's fascinating here is the complete subversion of that expectation.
Which wasn't helpful.
Quite the opposite. Instead of guiding you, the Navigator apparently points you to recursively circuitous traps that seem to go on forever.
Traps, so it actively tries to get you more lost.
It seems so. It reinforces that getting lost theme the professor invited us to embrace. Yeah. Suggesting that true navigation here isn't about finding a clear path, but about embracing disorientation.
It's a brilliant, if frustrating trick. Misdirecting you, making you question the very concept of help in a world designed to be incoherent.
It actively challenges our reliance on external authority, maybe suggesting real progress comes from within, from figuring it out yourself despite the misleading help.
Okay, and then there was the clickbait challenge. What was that about?
Right. Players are thrown into narrowing mazes filled with real in-game ads and news, but for some unreal things.
Like what?
Like a headline screaming, "This person used to be a tree. The story will shock you."
Oh my God. So the goal is?
To determine which headlines are legitimate within the game's own skewed reality and which are fake. A kind of critical thinking test, but dialed up to 11.
Stepping back, this isn't just quirky, is it? It's commentary.
Absolutely. It's a biting commentary on our own contemporary information landscape. The professor is holding a mirror up to the digital world we inhabit.
Forcing players to critically assess information overload, misinformation, sensationalism.
Exactly. And the reward for winning. Dr. Upchuck's fizzy phlegm energy slime.
Seriously, phlegm energy slime.
Apparently. And registration required, of course. The reward itself is a satirical punchline highlighting the hollow promises and absurdity of online engagement.
It forces you to question what information you trust and why. A vital skill today.
Definitely.
Let's talk about the sensory experience, especially in VR. Freaky described being in it, not just looking at the professor's digital brain.
Right. fully immersed. She called the environment a hallucinatory mess of colors and weird shapes, with endless mazes, walls of swirling colors and flashing lights.
Total sensory overload, she said.
This immersive experience really highlights that ontological relationality he explores, blurring the boundaries between player and game world. The visual chaos directly reflects the chaotic virago and obnubilimorous illusions from the press release.
It's designed to overwhelm the senses, push you beyond normal perception.
Into a state of heightened, albeit disorienting, awareness, literally making you feel like you're experiencing a different reality. It's not just visual spectacle, it's an assault on your cognitive processing.
And the clowns. She mentioned clowns everywhere.
Yes, the clowns. Not just background characters, they were lurking everywhere trying to get players lost, intentionally disorienting them.
But then the twist.
A twist! Sometimes, surprisingly, these very clowns would show hidden paths that opened up new parts of the game.
So they're obstacles and guides.
This duality epitomizes the game's embrace of paradox. It's central to his liminal dialectic. Seemingly contradictory forces coexist and inform each other.
It pushes players to question if an antagonist might actually be an ally or vice versa.
Constantly reevaluating intent and outcome, teaching players that clarity often emerges from chaos, and even unnerving elements can lead to discovery, a challenge to black and white thinking.
And the sound. Equally unsettling, apparently. Designed by Bartholomew Hornstroker.
Yes. Freaky described it as a mess of clashing sounds, a cacophony orchestral noise, and weird electronic whirs, just chaos.
Like not entirely chaos.
No. Out of nowhere, the digitally warped voice of synth-pop idol Panya Pumbas would appear. A beautiful, trippy sound in the middle of all the chaos.
Wow. So chaos punctuated by sudden beauty.
It's a perfect sonic analog to that diametric sublimation of contrasting concords from the press release. The juxtaposition keeps the player constantly off balance, but also deeply intrigued. A masterclass in using sound to manipulate emotional and cognitive states.
Reinforcing the idea that beauty and meaning can arise even from profound disarray.
Exactly. A journey for your ears as much as your mind.
Delving deeper into the narrative. Freaky explained the lore involved navigating places like the mimes' mines.
The mimes' mines, yes, where mimes were supposedly mining the professor's mind for new words.
Mining for words, that's incredibly meta.
And then there was a subterranean circus full of clowns, each one supposedly processing a different facet of the professor's work.
So the game isn't just a world, it's an internal exploration of his creative and intellectual processes, made interactive.
That's what it suggests, an imaginative portrayal of how knowledge and ideas are mined, from consciousness like the mimes and processed into distinct eccentric forms like the clowns.
It's an intellectual journey through cognition itself, allowing players to metaphorically step inside his mind.
A very strange mind, apparently.
No kidding. But the true climax wasn't a conventional boss battle, was it?
Not at all. Freaky describes encountering a colossal, pulsating, giant lobster, the most powerful thing in the game.
A giant lobster boss. Okay, so you fight it.
That's the instinct, right? But she realized you can't actually beat it like a normal boss. The lobster is a puzzle.
A puzzle? How?
The real challenge is figuring out a completely different way to interact with it. Not defeat it, but interact differently.
Wow, that's the game's ultimate test then.
It seems so. The professor's final lesson, forcing players to use absurd intuition instead of just following normal video game rules. It challenges the very notion of victory.
Emphasizing that the journey through beautiful nonsense, the shift in perspective, that's the reward.
Exactly. Redefining what winning means. Suggesting sometimes the challenge isn't to conquer, but to understand, to interact on a different plane. It embodies his critique of simplistic objectives.
Okay. And then, just when Freaky thought her mind couldn't be blown any further,
Bombshell.
the review dropped a bombshell that hits very, very close to home for us here on the Deep Dive.
This is where it gets properly weird for us.
She actually found herself as a character in the game in a podcast studio.
Yeah.
With two hosts she refers to as Sam and Pat, clearly meant to be us.
A stand-in for us, yeah. She described it as being live, with us talking about the game and even about her while she was still in the game.
My head hurts just thinking about it.
What's fascinating, and frankly unsettling, is her realization. The Conflargarrulous Labyrinth is this super meta game where, as a guest on that show, I was now a scripted character in the game.
A scripted character.
And she saw a script on the table titled, quote, "The Conflargarrulous Labyrinth, the current topic of the deep dive."
Oh my God, that directly echoes the cooperative integration memo we received.
Exactly. Suggesting that our very discussion, this deep dive right now, isn't just observation. It's an integral part of the professor's larger, elaborate design.
It's a game that writes its own review, then puts the reviewer in the review being discussed on a podcast. That is also part of the game's script.
Mind-bending, isn't it?
I remember reading that part of her review for the first time. It felt like the floor just dropped out. Suddenly, we weren't just discussing the game, we were potentially in it.
And it gets even more surreal. She was asked hard questions in the game podcast about its multi-metamorphistic and Conflargarrulous nature.
And according to her review, she looked ahead in the script she found to find her answers. Her dialogue was preordained.
Pre-scripted interaction within the game about the game itself. And then Kyle, who she thought was the navigator AI, revealed his true identity to her. Her mind, she said, was completely blown again.
Understandably, she even wondered, I guess that means those deep dive hosts are AI.
Yeah.
Us, are we AI?
Let's hope not. But it's a staggering moment of self-referential design. Truly next-level meta.
This moment in the review is utterly crucial, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's the ultimate aha moment for the player. Revealing the game's profound self-awareness, its ability to incorporate its own critical discourse, to literally script its own discussion.
And for us and for you listening, it poses that profound question about the nature of the reality we're currently discussing.
Are we merely characters in a larger script the professor laid out? Are words preordained by his intricate ontological relationality?
It challenges the very foundations of agency, free will, the boundary between fiction and reality.
Making you question your own role in the stories you consume and create.
Okay, deep breaths. Freaky's review ended with a deeply worrying postscript, though. It wasn't all just mind games.
No, this part was concerning. The game had, quote, messed me up.
She was having a weird dream about how I am just a scripted character on a podcast show.
Yeah.
A phrase that now has this chilling resonance for us.
Yeah.
She would keep forgetting where I am and what I'm doing. And she even developed a cat I'd never seen before named Trixie.
A spontaneous cat named Trixie. That's odd.
And most alarmingly, she had a constant headache, and my vision has been blurry all morning, prompting a doctor's visit. Real physical symptoms.
This is where the game's ontological event horizon seemed to breach into reality, or at least Freaky's personal reality.
The symptoms are more than just gameplay fatigue. They suggest genuine disorientation, a blurring of lines that manifested physically and psychologically.
Yet, despite all that, she still gave the game a 9.2 out of 10.
Which is incredible, calling it unique, deeply strange, and genuinely hilarious.
But the impact was profound enough for medical attention, raising serious questions about immersion and its potential consequences. At what point does a game become something more, something that can genuinely alter our perception of the world?
And Freaky symptoms, it turned out, were just the beginning.
Just a prelude, yeah. What she experienced in isolation quickly scaled up, threatening public sanity, it seemed.
Just a week after her review, the story took a much darker, much more alarming turn. Fate 808 reported again.
And this time,
the game, the Conflargarrulous Labyrinth, had been officially banned and pulled from all digital and physical storefronts worldwide.
Wow, not just delisted, but banned.
Yeah. This wasn't just a quirky indie game anymore. It had become a global incident, escalating incredibly fast.
Government agencies, mental health professionals globally, they cited a rising tide of what they called disorientation-induced psychosis.
That sounds serious. Psychosis.
Extremely serious. Players were experiencing severe, consistent symptoms, persistent headaches, blurred vision, and vivid reality-blurring nightmares.
Just like freaky, but widespread.
Exactly. One official, speaking for a major health organization, bluntly stated the game was, quote, quite literally making people go crazy.
So the professor's omnibulimorous illusions moved from virtual to tangible, a genuine public health crisis, or at least a major concern.
It certainly seemed that way.
But unsurprisingly, perhaps, the ban. It didn't quite work as intended, did it?
Not at all. Meant to curb the problem, it only fueled its popularity. Prohibition rarely works with things like this.
With legal copies suddenly unobtainable, a massive wave of piracy began. People were clamoring to experience the very mind-bending effects that got the game pulled in the first place.
It seems human nature, or maybe the professor's cunning design, is irresistibly attracted to the forbidden. Anything promising to unravel the ordinary.
This phenomenon really raises questions, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
About curiosity, authority, the allure of forbidden knowledge.
The more society tried to contain it, the more its enigmatic nature amplified, almost as if the professor orchestrated this reaction as part of the game's meta-narrative.
Using the news and rumors themselves as a game mechanic?
Possibly. Drawing more people into the phenomenon, regardless of warnings. It speaks to a collective desire to push boundaries, even at personal risk.
And amid all this mounting chaos, the professor himself finally made a public announcement.
Ah, yes, the infamous video.
But predictably, for anyone familiar with his style, it wasn't a clear explanation or reassurance. It was
A 5-hour rambling video, which Fate 808 aptly described as just an endless stream of wordy blather.
5 hours. Did anyone even watch it all?
Some dedicated souls must have tried. But this is classic Finchley Smythe, isn't it? His response wasn't to clarify or console, but to further immerse the world in his linguistic labyrinth.
Reinforcing his commitment to eccentric yet thoroughly elaborated presentations, regardless of public concern.
Exactly. His response, for many, would only exacerbate the confusion, perfectly fitting the Conflargarrulous nature of the whole event. No answers, only more questions wrapped in elaborate, impenetrable prose, furthering the illusion, not dispelling it.
And the situation hit Fate 808 directly during this time too, right? With Freaky Glink.
Yes, a chilling personal dimension. Their own Freaky Glink, the reviewer, went missing for a week.
Missing, like disappeared.
Disappeared, sent shockwaves through the gaming community, and even more mysteriously, her entire apartment has been quarantined by some unknown agency.
Quarantined? By who? Unknown agencies. This sounds like something out of a spy thriller.
It added a sinister layer. This wasn't just hypothetical disorientation anymore. Real people disappearing, government intervention, or at least agency intervention.
This escalation from individual symptoms to direct intervention by unknown agencies, it adds so much intrigue and concern, implying a scale beyond just software.
Hinting the game's influence might be touching on national security or public order, perhaps. And the stark warning from Fate 808 at that time, "We advise you all to not play this game," highlighted the gravity.
It was a moment where the professor's ontological event horizon truly seemed to engulf more than just individual players.
It felt like things were really spiraling.
And then, the whiplash. In a truly bizarre twist that defied all the previous alarm bells.
Just a week after her disappearance.
Fate 808 announced Freaky Glink's sudden return. Safe and sound, but the explanation.
Oh, the explanation. This is where it gets really strange. Her official statement claimed her disappearance was just an elaborate prank that got way out of control.
A prank. After global bans, psychosis reports, unknown agencies quarantining her apartment, it was all a prank.
The entire narrative flipped completely overnight, from grave public health crisis to a schoolyard prank gone wrong.
What's truly fascinating and deeply suspicious is that immediate complete reversal. Her apartment, previously quarantined,
You're now suddenly just infested with fleas and cockroaches and undergoing routine fumigation.
that sudden convenient shift demands a critical look, doesn't it? After everything that was reported, it's almost too neat, too perfectly resolved.
It feels engineered.
And local officials seem to corroborate this new, simplified narrative too.
Yeah.
Confirming the bizarre events and mass hysteria were likely fueled by news and rumors, not by the game itself.
They stated the strange events and temporal anomalies had subsided, just gone.
It's as if the world collectively decided, okay, nothing to see here, move along. Categorized it all as an unfortunate but ultimately harmless overreaction.
Public memory can be surprisingly short, or perhaps deliberately steered.
Which raises the big question for us, and for you, our listener. What are we supposed to believe?
Was it all truly just a prank, as Freaky Leader claimed and officials confirmed, or is this the professor's ultimate illusion? A brilliantly orchestrated retreat, a final act of the labyrinth played out globally.
The discrepancy between Freaky's earlier severe symptoms, the headaches, blurred vision, the dreams of being scripted, the cat named Trixie.
And her later good health and old self. Does the prank really explain all of that? Or just the public-facing parts, leaving the psychological impacts unaddressed, or maybe still ongoing?
It challenges us to question the official narrative, to wonder what truths lie beneath that convenient surface.
Definitely.
And despite these official explanations, the dismissal of mass hysteria, the story isn't entirely closed, is it?
No. Fate 808 pointed out that official investigations are still ongoing. And most tellingly,
The Conflargarrulous Labyrinth still remains banned from all stores. If it was just a prank fueling rumors, why is it still banned?
exactly. And the professor himself. He nor anyone from AFS3 Media has returned our requests for further information. Vanished. Silent.
That lingering silence, the continued ban, despite the prank explanation. It suggests a deeper, unresolved mystery.
It implies that while the mass hysteria might have been attributed to rumors, the game's inherent properties, its capacity to distort perception, might still be considered too destabilizing for public consumption.
Leaves us wondering if the professor truly pulled off the ultimate act of omnibilimerous illusions, making us question not just his game, but the nature of truth, perception, and narrative control in our own world.
Perhaps the biggest prank of all was making us believe the prank was the only truth.
So you've journeyed with us through the bewildering, reality-bending world of the Conflargarrulous Labyrinth. It's been something.
Quite the trip.
We began with its audacious announcement as an ontological event horizon, followed Freaky Glink's captivating and disorienting review, which, remember, placed us directly in the game script.
A fact that still gives me pause.
Through its shocking ban, due to widespread disorientation-induced psychosis, and finally to the perplexing explanation of it all being an elaborate prank.
It has been quite the ride, a narrative full of twists, making you question everything about games and maybe reality itself.
What's abundantly clear is that Professor Alistair Finchley Smythe III, with his masterful command of phenomenological epistemology and liminal dialectic, has once again orchestrated an event that just defies easy categorization.
He consistently pushes the boundaries of perception, making us question the very fabric of what we consider real and what's merely an illusion or a carefully constructed narrative.
His work forces us to engage not just with the content, but the context, and, weirdly, our own role in its manifestation.
He's shown us that the stories we tell, and even the stories we listen to, like this one, have a power far beyond mere entertainment.
And as we close this deep dive, considering everything we've discussed, from the game's opening claim to us that you are the game,
to Freaky Glink encountering us by name in a scripted podcast within her gameplay,
to the entire public health crisis being dismissed as an elaborate prank, we're left with a profound question for you, our listener, to ponder.
Is the line between the game and reality truly as clear and solid as we'd like to believe?
Or is this entire month-long saga, including this very deep dive you're listening to right now, just another meticulously designed layer of Professor Finchley Smythe III's sprawling Conflargarrulous labyrinth,
inviting us all to get lost in the beautiful nonsense of it all?
What parts of our reality, if any, are we unknowingly scripting for someone else? And perhaps, more unsettlingly, what parts of your reality are currently being scripted even as you listen?